I'm a gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Bryson, why they mad? Cause I'm real and they be faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking American. This MAGA season, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. This for free thinkers only. You ain't got no membership. They free General Flint out the cage, cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone, cause the world know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement. Tell Justin Smollett that I know this MAGA country. Tell China we know they.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Just really quickly, let's say hi to everybody. We got John, Mr. M, Ellie and Becky, and we have Jerica in the house. Hello, everybody. I am going, Beverly, Rebecca. Awesome, guys. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Oh, Shaq. Awesome. Everybody's popping in. I am going to play my political intro and then I'm going to bring Jimmy up. Awesome. Hey, Jimmy. How's it going?
It is good. Good to see you, Ruby. You doing all right tonight?
Yes, I've been streaming for all night.
Yeah, I heard you did another show talking about stuff in the UK.
Yeah, wow, that was amazing. I had Chaka and Daniel, also other extra Ws that are willing to talk about politics. Like, wow, everybody's waking up. It's not just us. Like, it's everywhere. And I'm so happy that I started this so that I could get everybody's opinion now and then discuss it in real time and then do this with you, worldwide.
Well, I really appreciate it. And you're doing an excellent job. I'm very proud of you. Keep it up. You're hitting a section of the population, the young folks. Young folks need to see this stuff. Sorry, I was rushing around to get ready to be on here in time tonight, so it'll take me a second to get going. But I'm glad to be here tonight after the kind of last 3-4 days I've had. So thank you for having me.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we can definitely bring that up. Jimmy was banned on Facebook recently. And so I know that your generation uses Facebook still.
Yeah. Gen
No offense.
None taken. It's true.
But I hate Facebook for that reason. I'm so glad that Twitter is a little bit more open and free. But I know that you guys have a lot of Facebook groups. Yes. And that kind of thrives, for your generation. So I could definitely understand the hurt that you feel you can't connect to your people. You can't message as quick as you used to and share information. And that's what it is. They want to censor you. They want to limit the way you can share information and connect with people, network with people. Even YouTube is retarded sometimes. They don't let you talk about certain things, and then Rumble's there and different platforms. Yeah. So I totally get it. So do you want to talk a little bit about it and where can we find you now?
I woke up Friday morning, looked at my phone, had messages. I've done a video on my channel about this, but for your viewers and others that don't know, I looked at my phone, I had messages. I went to click on Facebook and then it just went dark. I'm like, what in the hell? And so then I get a message that says, oh, your account has been disabled. I'm like, crap. And so the funny thing is in the message that they sent me, they said, we will send you an email and then you can submit an appeal if you think we got it wrong. I never got an email. Never.
Right.
And it's you can't hardly get in contact with Facebook anyway. So it was just frustrating. And I was like, crap. I mean, I kind of knew it was not a surprise after 187 Facebook violations anyway. So I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen. I just didn't expect it, to go down the way it did. It's funny because in 2020, they banned me. I was in Facebook jail for 90 days during the election of 2020. So I figured something would happen this time around. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not there anymore. And I moved everything over to the X Twitter platform and learning that now. I know for my generation, as you say it, there's a lot of us that didn't understand how to use X. And so we're learning it. So I'm glad we have you in the group on X, so that if anyone has any questions, they can say, hey, Ruby, how do you do this? How do you do that? And so, but we're learning it, and that's where all my stuff's going to be. I've probably had so far maybe 70 to 80 people already come over from Facebook to X to follow my information. And so that's where I'm going to be for the foreseeable future, is over there. And then people can take what I post there and put it on Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. You can have that shared on your behalf. But I'm glad that you are on X, because I feel like X is more open. You can connect faster, quicker. It's like an instant, it's a tweet. It's like you can retweet, share it, and then you can do spaces, you can do group chats. You can have your own show on Twitter alone. And then you can also stream from here to your account, to your YouTube, like different destinations. You can connect everything. I'm gonna get there. I might invest in this if I'm gonna continue like doing this, and have StreamYard stream everywhere. And then somebody like you can, like, we can do this together, because this seems to work.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I mean, I was so happy that I figured out how to do group chats. I was like, ooh, this will replace Messenger. So I was happy about that. The other thing that I like is I can be a little more edgy on X. I can say things that I would have to, if I put a post on Facebook, I'd have to like speak in code. And hopefully people would figure it out. But with this, I can be a little more in your face, so to speak. So
yes, you can. Yeah, that's why I love it, especially for politics. And that's all I use Twitter for. That's my public space profile that I can be political on. And then I kind of like dragged it now to YouTube, because I'm like, oh, this and this, put it together, beautiful. You can reach so much more people. So I'm so glad to have you there a little bit more often, because I'm there all the time, and I'm like, we share videos. You share something to me, I share, and it's like, let's do this, and then we can incorporate it into the show, and like, okay, next week we're going to do this, the following week we're going to do that, and I love it. So thank you so much. Despite your banning, you are now on X, and everybody can go follow Jimmy directly on X, which I have it in the bio in the description below. So if anybody wants to follow you, they can go follow you now. And now I'm just going to talk about our phone call that we had about a week ago.
Okay.
So in the last stream, there was a commenter by the name by Miss T. If you remember her, she was commenting a lot about the voting and kind of a little bit like, I guess, discouraged, like, oh, why should we vote? Why does it matter? And I bring up that subject a lot.
Right.
And then you commented back and you said, oh, next week I'm going to touch on this. We'll bring it up. So in the future, if she sees this or if she's in the chat, Miss T, we are definitely going to dive into voting and everything that has to do with voting, because Jimmy called me and we were talking about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, did you see that comment? And then you were like, yeah. And then you gave me some great pointers. And then I was giving you a little pushback. I was asking questions. And I'm like, okay, how do you feel about certain things like this? So we're definitely going to dive into voting. But then you said that you really wanted to dive into Agenda 47, because I brought up Project 2025. And I said, this is really important, because I just saw this clip. And you already know, if you saw my last video about Serena Williams, I hate celebrities. I hate when they get into the political space. It's like, just be an artist. Stop giving your opinion about certain things, because now it's like, I lose a little respect for them, because not only do I know that they're an actor, they're acting, like, let's remember that. They're pushing the extremism in certain aspects of politics, and then they're making it seem like this is what the conservatives are pushing. This is what Republicans want. So when I brought that up to you, I said, do you think that this is something important enough to share? And then I'm going to play this clip of Taraji at the BET Awards so that people can understand where I'm coming from.
Okay.
You can skip this video, but you can't skip the truth. Right now, to bed hungry every
Facts of the matter is more small.
Wow,
It's sippy cup.
Time for us to play chess, not checkers. It's about making decisions that will affect us as human beings, our careers, our next generations to come. Did you know that it is now a crime to be homeless? Pay attention. It's not a secret. Look it up. They are attacking our most vulnerable citizens. The Project 2025 plan is not a game. Look it up. Time for us to.
Why is she so angry?
Yeah, so I wanted to play that clip because when I saw Taraji in the BET Awards, that really got me. I said, oh no, people are going to be digging into what Project 2025 is. And then it kind of went a little viral on Twitter. And everybody is getting so heated about that I felt like, oh, maybe I should do an episode about Project 2025, right? And then Jimmy sent me this video, which is also going to give you an idea of what Jimmy told me about Project 2025. This is what Jimmy told me. Listen to this guy right here, because this is Jimmy.
What you got to say about Project 2025? Have you heard of Agenda 47? Hey, what? Agenda 47. Nah. It's the actual platform that Trump is going to push when he becomes president. It's listed on his official campaign website. Project 2025 is not to be found there. Matter of fact, Project 2025 was created by a conservative think tank named Heritage Foundation. It's supposed to make it illegal to be homeless. It has nothing to do with Trump. Trump has neither endorsed nor supported this platform. He has his own. But I saw on BET. I don't care what any Hollywood elite or BET Awards show hosted by Taraji P. Henson have told you about Project 2025. It is not a talking point of President Trump's campaign, nor is it something that he's interested in. It's just another tool to fearmonger you and to just continue to vote for the same people over and over again and never breaking the cycle of chaos that we see within the Black community. Once again, just look at the decades long of Democrat control over Black cities. Uncle Tom. It makes sense, man. But listen, do you? Be mad at what you want to be mad at, but you ain't mad at Trump. Man, shut up, coon. Would you?
That's what Jimmy told me. He stopped me in my tracks and he said, has nothing to do with Trump. Doesn't matter.
You know, I was listening to that again this time and I was like, holy crap, that's pretty much word for word what I said to Ruby.
Oh my goodness, like really shot me down and was like, that doesn't even matter because Trump doesn't even endorse that. It didn't come from Trump. So what does it matter? And I'm like, you're right. But don't you think that this is it? No, I don't care what somebody has to say on BET Awards. I don't care what Taraji has to say.
And here's the reason why. Here's the reason I come with that opinion and belief because I know how these people operate. Let's look. Your everyday American out there, if you ask them, have they heard of Project 2025? Most people will say yes, and there's a reason why. I'll come back to that. If you ask them what Agenda 47, they're going to be like, what? What is that? Here's the reason why people know about Project 2025 is because the media has been parroting it everywhere on your cable news, in articles, in social media. And what if you've been following this stuff for a while, you know what happens when the media starts pushing something and they're all in unison,
right?
And once they start to do that, then you're like, why is the media pushing this? Why are they why? And we know who they shield for. So that's why, yeah, like Jane Spitfire just said, fake news again. That's what they do because they're just trying to manipulate everyone's minds with their propaganda by demonizing someone else so you don't go look and pay attention to what they're saying. That's it.
Right. Right. Well, you see, that's what got me into looking into it, because I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some research about it. I'm going to see at least what is it about? What are they saying? So if anybody is interested in doing a deep dive into what Project 25 is, I put a YouTube video in the link in the description as well, because it's like a 24-minute video, but it really checks both sides, so it's not biased in any way. They take the opinions from Democrats, from Republicans, but that's the thing. It's like when you're listening to both sides, and that's a great example of listening to both sides, you can always tell that when the Democrats talk about it, they always got to insert, this is exactly what Republicans want. This is exactly what Trump wants. And that's what gets me, is like they can never just be neutral and talk about a subject in neutrality and saying, this is what Project 25 says. And it came from the Heritage Foundation. And then I said, well, what is the Heritage Foundation? Like, I'm too young for that, right? So I look into this. And then when I look at the foundation, I'm like, oh snap, they are so intertwined with previous administrations. And since they've had success in the past, they think that now Trump is going to be like other presidents in the past and adopt these views of the think tank. But they forget who Trump is. He can't be controlled.
And it's not only that. I mean, you got to go a step further in understanding who these people are, how they operate, and who is paying them to do what they're doing. And when I talk about the Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank, yes, that's what it is. Oh, but George Bush did this, and it was really good, and it's the uniparty. That's what they are. Even though you have, like you said, didn't you say in Project 2025 there was some Democratic things that were good? Is that what you said?
It was like political commentators that they were commenting on the 25, but they were giving it from a Democratic viewpoint. And they kept like inserting like, this is what they want. This is what they're about. They're Christian nationalists, and this is what they really want.
Okay. Yeah. So what all this is designed to do is to keep the people divided between a left and a right. And what people don't understand is they're playing a game. So the people on the right, they will say stuff that's bad about the Democrats, and the Democrats will turn around and say something bad about the Republicans. And in the meantime, after they're done doing all that, they're going out to dinner together and golfing and going on trips together. And they're like all best friends. Yeah. While everyone else is fighting between, well, Democrats say this, Republicans say this. Once people realize that it's just like Jerry just said, it's a game. It's a game that they're playing with all of us. And for the folks that are awake to this, we can understand how they're operating, and we can combat it, and we can teach other people what to look for and how to identify this manipulation and this propaganda.
That's exactly how I feel. And that's why they're amplifying Project 25 and not Agenda 47. Because I just learned about Agenda 47. And then I said, okay, let me go into Donald's website and see if that's what he has on his website. And so when I did go and I checked out his stuff and I clicked on platform, what does he actually stand for? This is the research that people don't want to do, right? Because it takes extra work for you to dig through all that propaganda, put it to the side and say, okay, now what does Trump say he's going to do? Because that's the accountability, is that when he makes promises, during the campaign, when people run for president, do they follow through? Have they kept their word? This is who you're voting for. You're not voting for Heritage Foundation. You're not voting for that project. You're voting for this man or this woman, whoever you're going to vote for. Now, what do they stand for? And so that was my thing. I said, all right, let me listen to Jimmy and forget about that. Doesn't matter. And it's kind of hard to do that because you want to do the bait, like that's the bait. You want to fall into that trap and be like, oh, always being like defensive. That's not what he said. And then you go into this whole back and forth. And then Jimmy's like, just focus on Agenda 47. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And that's why I brought up Trump's website, because when you scroll through, here you go, 20 points of what Agenda 47 is. And Jimmy has some notes that he wants to also discuss with us.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to find that so the viewers can see it too, instead of just listening to me, because I think it's the same exact list. Let's see, end reflation to make affordable gain. Yeah, this is a little differently worded, but it's all the same. That's the thing that you said about doing the research and doing the digging, is it does take extra work. And unfortunately, there's so many people out there that aren't going to do the extra work. And they have been conditioned to believe that all they need to know is what they hear on the news. It's kind of like the Jehovah's Witnesses. They feel like all they need to know is whatever the governing body tells them. And so they don't look for anything else. And they just accept what the governing body says. Same thing here on the political side. There's so many people out there that will just accept what the media says and then go on about their day.
Right.
Do you not know that that's how they've manipulated everybody? And then they get mad at folks like me and other truthers that point this out, because then that makes them, what's the word I'm looking for? The defensive comes out, and then the emotions start to flow. Like that video that you played with the chick. And I said, oh my goodness, why is she so angry?
Right.
Because she's projecting that out so that the people that are watching that would be like, oh yeah, I'm angry too. And it's just a perpetual cycle that's being used. And so, okay, there's a point on that. Now, as far as getting to know the candidates, yeah, you got to do the research. You got to see these people in public. They've got to be able to give speeches and interviews and things like that. Trump's done that very effectively. He even went last week into the, the research or American Black Journalist.
Yep.
Okay. He went there. And there was four black ladies that were asking him questions, and that was in Chicago. So he pretty much went into the lion's den there, and he knocked it out of the park, to the point that the people that supported that group said, yeah, y'all shouldn't have done that. Yeah, this was the worst thing you guys did right here, letting Trump do this, because he effectively presented his message. When has the giggler, Kamala, that's what I call her, the giggler. When was her last press conference? When is she when has she been asked any questions? Does anybody know what she stands for?
I was just about to bring that up, because I want to show the viewers that I'm not being biased when it comes to my political shows, that I do talk about Trump a lot. But when I was doing research for this and I went to Kamala's website, I'm scrolling through here. All I see is donation at the top here. Now they put this new picture because she picked a running mate. It says join the campaign. But do you see any platform? Do you see where she's saying what she stands for? It's only about herself, where she came from. But what does she actually stand for? That's my thing. I couldn't really find anything definitively on her website. And when I Googled it, it brings up Act Blue. It brings up whitehouse.gov. It brings up interviews that have no relevance to an actual campaign, but like interviews that she's done, or that she's given an opinion about something, which is rare, like she's off script or something. And then that's when you get a little piece of how she really feels, when she said, oh, I want to take guns away. Or she said something like, I want to do the reproductive rights or whatever, which is a kind of far left ideology. And then she says it as if that's what she actually really believes in. But it's not like black and white on paper on her website saying, I'm Kamala Harris and I believe in this, 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 and this. And if I become president, I'm going to do this, this, this. Like, you don't really get that explicitly. And that's a little infuriating, because I'm like, I can't I can't even do both, because I was gonna do like Agenda 47 plus what Kamala, whatever her slogan was, and there wasn't anything.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, it's only to donate money, like.
That's all they want. And I want to go, and this might segue into when we talk about voting a little later too. We might mention this again, but I really want to drive this point home for the folks that may be waking up or may not have figured out what's going on yet. The Democratic voice, y'all, your voice has been stolen right in front of you. Do you even realize that? Because you had a primary, a Democratic primary, where all the Democratic voters, and Republicans did it too, but all the Democratic voters went out and they voted for who they wanted their presidential nominee to be. And it was Joe Biden. Now, all of a sudden, you got Kamala, which no one voted for her. I don't care what you say. No one voted for her. But now you're expected to get behind someone who doesn't have a platform, hasn't done interviews, but you're supposed to get behind this person and make them the next president of the United States. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, that's what's infuriating. It's very, very upsetting. I mean, I was already upset about Joe Biden. You know what I mean? Like, I was already upset about that. It makes it even a tad bit worse when it's like Kamala trying to take over his entire campaign, his entire platform. Because what idea did she come up with? Did she come up with anything? Like anything that's original, anything that she said, I'm going to do, like a leader who shows that he's leading, that this is my ideas. No, she basically rode on Biden's name, reputation, everything, got the spot she got only because he picked you, and they call her like a DEI hire, but like whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever.
Yeah.
You still got the job because you sucked up to him. Because when they were debating back in the day, she was laying him out. She was dog walking him with his past. And he deserved it. You know, that's why I was thinking, oh, he would never be the nominee because of all of his real racist past that he has said literally on record in Congress. And yet that didn't matter. And people still voted for him and defended him. And like literally the whole like New York culture that me and my husband come from, we were shocked when he went on with Charlemagne the God and that whole radio station. Like we're still in that culture a little bit. And so we were shocked when he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And we thought his career was over right there and then. And when we realized that it wasn't, and then Kamala did a 360 and was defending this guy after she called him a racist how many times in the past, like it was really shocking and crazy how they could flip and then actually became president. So to me, it's kind of like, you didn't start anything. Nothing was original. You rode on this man's administration, his money, his campaign, his everything. And now you're just going to take it over. Because then I started reading, the money that is behind the Build Back Better campaign, the Act Blue. She's going to dip into that because she feels entitled to it. Like, no, this was us. This was Biden-Harris. This wasn't just Biden. So it's like she's putting her foot out there like, I'm going to take this. And It was like, no, nobody voted, like just like you said. And you know what? In the RNC, you know, when they were live streaming it, that was the very first time that I saw each representative from each state vote out loud when they say, we vote Donald Trump for our nominee. Like they actually said it out loud.
Right.
And I'm waiting to watch the DNC because I'm so interested to see what's going to happen there. Because like you said, ain't nobody put her up. No, she don't got no ticket. Nothing is like official because is she even the official nominee for the Democrats?
She hasn't accepted it because of they got to do it at the convention. And so, but what they did, I think on Monday, they did a virtual call to the delegates or something like that. And they've made her the nominee, but she's not, it doesn't get officially official, if you want to put it that way, until they go to the convention. And see, and here's the thing, you know, this is why the DNC and the RNC, well, this is the biggest example. This is why they did it the way they done it, because they did not want the people. They didn't want to hold an emergency primary after Biden stepped down or said he wasn't going to run, because they can't afford to have the people go and vote for who they want to be the DNC nominee, because that takes the power and the control away from them. So let's go ahead and put somebody out there. Let's get her across the finish line to the DNC. Let's make her the nominee. And that way we still have our power, and we don't have to worry about the people putting up this name or putting up this name or putting up this name and having a lot of infighting. We want to show you. This will also show unity on our part too. We'll just manipulate the people and get them on board, and we'll be fine. That's what they've done. Straight up. There's no other way to look at it.
Yeah. So what do you think will happen? Do you think that because the public opinion says, yes, Kamala is the nominee, yes, she's going to be taking over, do you think that they even have the power maybe to change that? And when the DNC comes up and the nomination comes up, like, can they switch her out for somebody else?
Totally. And I've already said it. I said it back on my Facebook page. And I've been saying it ever since. I've been saying it even before Kamala was even mentioned. But once she was mentioned, I'm like, yeah, I have a feeling, very strong feeling, that they're just going to get her across the line to the DNC convention, make her the nominee, and then the powers to be have all the power. They know by the internal polling that there's no way she can beat Trump in a fair fight. No way. I don't care what you're thinking. Oh, Jimmy, the polls say, really? You haven't figured out the polls are manipulated too? So I think that because they see those polls, they know they can't win, they're going to try something else. And that would be to replace her. And the only reason I was thinking that even more today is look at who she picked to be as her VP.
Oh yeah. Do you know about him? Because I never heard his name before.
I know very little about him as far as his background and everything, but there's only a couple things I need to know. One, he allowed illegal immigrants to have driver's license.
Really?
Yes, that's bull crap. Two, he doesn't have the nickname Timmy Tampon for no reason. Because he wanted every school, I think he mandated or put it in law, that every school in Minnesota, in the boys' bathrooms and the girls' bathrooms, both bathrooms had to have tampons. That right there tells me exactly who this guy is. And if you look at the Minnesota riots back in 2020, he had the power to stop those riots. He didn't do that. His wife was known. She did an interview where she said she opened up the windows to their home and was smelling the burning of the tires.
Wow. And that when was that? That was 2020 riots?
Yeah, the 2020 riots. Okay. And so he didn't stop it. And then the people that would get arrested, Kamala Harris was backing the bail reform thing or whatever to let those people go without having to post bail. So the guy was allowing it to happen. And the ones that did get arrested, Kamala said, oh, it was the Freedom Fund. She got behind the Freedom Fund, which let these bail. I lost you for a second.
Yeah, there was a minor glitch. Okay, you said that there was the Freedom Fund that Kamala was backing, and then he was the one.
Yeah, so just to repeat it, this is what happened. The Democratic governor, Timmy Tampon, allowed this stuff to happen. And the ones that did get arrested, there was the Freedom Fund that was backed by Kamala Harris to get those people out of jail without posting any bail. And they're allowed to go back on the streets and do it again.
Right. Okay. That doesn't make any sense. Right.
No.
Like, that
so
doesn't make sense.
Right there, that's documented evidence out there. People can look at it. People will see it. Do you really think that the polls would go up or down? The internal polls, not the media polls. They're going to go down even further. And then that's going to force the DNC to make a change. Because we know how Americans are. Americans have a very short attention span.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
TikTok brains.
Yeah. So think about what's happened over the last 2 weeks, last 2-3 weeks. Let's go back a month. Let's go back 2 months. Was anybody talking about Kamala? Was anybody excited about her? No. But in the last 2 to 3 weeks, what's everybody talking about?
Yep.
And the push to make her this, second coming, so to speak. So they take her out, and then they have another push to get the excitement. So just like no one was talking about Kamala a month ago, 2 months ago, who are we not talking about right now that could get the DNC over the line and get the country excited again, or get them excited?
Who?
It's all a game. It's all a game. So
yeah, I mean, you know what? The last rally or whatever you want to call it that Kamala did in Atlanta with Megan Thee Stallion. Did you see that performance?
I saw it.
Okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna touch on that really quickly because when I was waiting for her to make an appearance or to talk or whatever, I didn't even get that far because the very opening scene was Megan Thee Stallion, and then even Quavo was there. And like I said before, we are a little bit in that culture still. I follow it a little bit, but I am distancing myself away from it. So when I saw it, it was like an immediate turnoff for me.
Right.
And I'm not even Black. I'm not African American. I don't have any connection to that group. And yet I was offended that this show was going on. And it's sort of like pandering to that group of people that listen to that type of music, that are a part of that group. It's like undeniable that they're trying to reach Black people by putting these Black artists and rappers that don't really uplift the community. Like, what do they do for their community? The music that they put out, the things that they talk about, they rap about. What do they stand for? Yeah. Why couldn't they have Black entrepreneurs, Black business people, Black, the real Black power, like people who are up in the community, who, they promote good things like family, the nuclear family, raising children, things that America thrives on, because if it wasn't for families or children, then what kind of a future do you have if you're not investing in the children?
Yep.
But what she's promoting is literally what Megan Thee Stallion stands for. It's this girl boss, it's this career boss, it's this independent woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when that's literally all you talk about and promote, and it's just degeneracy, it was offensive to me, because I'm like, she could have done what Trump did when he did that panel of Black business people, and he was doing like a round table with those, I don't know what it was called, but it was like he was entertaining the Black voice with Black people, and that was when he was actually listening to Black problems and then going forward with, okay, how do we solve these problems?
Right.
That's the way to go, not to put a concert and just pander to them like, oh, you see, I'm with your favorite artist, I'm with your favorite rapper, vote for me. Like, it's just so disgusting and offended, and I'm not even Black.
Yeah, and I really think a lot of people are starting to wake up to that tool that they use. I think people are starting to wake up to that stuff. Yeah, like Chronicles of Lucifer is, identity politics. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly identity politics. So that's what they use. And I saw just a second ago, somebody said, yeah, both the DNC and the RNC are rigged. Have you not heard me mention the Uniparty?
I asked you about that. Like, what is the Uniparty? Can you explain just a little bit more about what that is?
It's very easy. You got, okay, so everybody knows the phrase rhino, Republican in name only. These people, they go out, they pretend that they have these conservative values and that they're for the Constitution, and they're playing on the people on the right, just like Megan the
Mhm.
Stallion. You know, they're using Megan the Stallion to identify to the
Right.
black people. These rhinos, they put on their little show so they can identify to the conservative folks as well.
And Christians.
It's the same
Yep.
game. It's just a different way of doing it. So
Mhm.
these rhinos, that's what they do. Then the conservatives thinking, oh yeah, he's great. Let's put him in there. And
Mhm.
then when it comes time to vote on a bill or something that goes against the Constitution or goes against conservative values, that same rhino will vote with the DNC.
Mhm.
That right there is the uniparty. They
Mhm.
play a game to divide everybody else, but when it comes down to it and they got to make decisions, they gel together. And then
I hate that. Yeah.
and then they'll have a few holdouts, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, the Republicans did this, or the Democrats did this, and blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
So it is the uniparty versus we the people.
Mhm.
And I know when people are watching this, they're going to say, "Well, they're talking about left and they're talking about right." Well, we got to draw the example. We got to teach folks how they operate, so that you can
Right.
understand that we, as citizens of the United States, we have the same enemy.
Right.
It's not my black friend. It's not my Mexican friend. It's not my Democrat. Those aren't the enemies. The enemies are the people that are in power controlling the game.
Right.
And once you know that, once you know their playbook and you come out and you talk about it and others are learning about this, then our voice gets larger and larger and larger to the point they fail. And
Right.
yeah, that's what it
Right.
is. Sorry,
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that, because that's my whole thing. Is like I'm also waking up to this in real time with you guys. I'm talking about it, giving my opinions literally live. And I'm doing the research live as well. Like this is all recent for me as well. So when I'm learning and I'm hearing these phrases, I'm like, ooh, like that's what I'm like, oh, okay, there's a term for that. That's what I hate. Like that's what I can't explain, because I'm like, why is it not working? We're thinking, yes, let's vote, yes, let's participate. And then people say, oh, everything is rigged. And or like you, oh, that's the uniparty, oh, that's the deep state, our
Mhm.
vote doesn't matter, our vote doesn't count. And when we were on the phone, I was telling them, like, so what is your perspective on people who say stuff like that? Like, oh, everything is fake, everything is rigged, you can't do anything because the people behind closed doors are the ones who are gonna do it anyways. Like you said, the DNC is gonna do whatever it takes to hold power. Both sides are going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to have this cycle over and over and over until what? Like, what's the breaking point? Or how can we vote our way out of this?
Well, unfortunately, when you can vote for socialism and communism, but you're going to have to quote shoot your way out of it, because they're not going to just say, oh, I'm sorry we took your rights away, and give them back to you. That's not going to happen.
Okay. You see, when you said that, that literally it did a light bulb for me, because I was like, you see how easy it is to vote for those types of policies? It's kind of like they're giving the doors already open. It's like they want you to want this for yourself. They want you to want your own destruction. Just fall into the trap. See, give up your guns. We want to take guns, sell it back to the government. Like they're trying to do everything in their power to make you want that. And then you kind of forget that whenever it happened in different countries throughout history, it literally led to communism. Like, do you really want that?
Throughout history, can anybody give me one example, just one, of a people who had their forms of defense, whether it be guns, whatever, let's just say guns, they had their stuff taken away from them and they actually thrived as a society? Can anybody give me an example throughout history? I don't think you can. I mean, let's look at the UK right now. We got all the crap going on in the UK, and people are getting beat and everything. They don't have a way to protect themselves.
Oh, yes. And did you see those riots about the vote happening with is his name Maduro?
Maduro.
Is that Venezuela? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I was following that a little bit and I was realizing, oh snap. If he says, "No, I won," what are you going to do about it? How can you defend yourself? How can you fight if only the criminals have guns, the gangs have guns, and what do you got?
Yeah, you got nothing. That's how they stay in power. Do you want to talk about the voting stuff before we go into Agenda 47?
Oh, sure, if you
I
want
mean,
to.
is
Yeah,
that because we're kind of on that same line, I guess?
yeah. Okay.
Because
Sure.
you asked, everyone says, well, our vote doesn't matter and everything's rigged. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is where folks have got to understand that we're not playing the same, the white hats, patriots, whatever you want to call them. We're not playing their game anymore. And what I mean by that is if you look at the election of 2020 and all the information that has come out in the last 2 weeks and beforehand, I don't care what you say, 2020 was a stolen election. There's plenty of proof for that. And the reason why it just becomes so evident that it was a stolen election is because there were so many people involved in the process in 2020 to where the deep state globalists had to cheat like they've never cheated before. And it became so obvious that they did that. And then when they went to try to cover it up, that's where they got caught.
Mm-hmm.
The cover up always gets you. Now, why is that different from 2016, 2012, 2008, 2004, 2000? Is because people were not engaged in the process as much as they were in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a shift in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And people started to realize, okay, well, we went out, we voted, we gave our voice, we've proved what they did. Now we're going to go out again in 2024 with even bigger numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't cheat. They're going to try, but the turnout will be so large that they won't be able to do anything this time. They won't be able to defeat it.
Right. Yeah, that's what you told me before. And now let me ask you this. If you do believe that 2020 was stolen, like most of it, I mean, I agree with you, but I'm just saying in general, if you believe that, what makes you think that the next election is not going to have the exact same problems as it did in 2020? Because in my opinion, something has to change before even Trump gets into office for you to even have confidence in voting.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that since that's happened in 2020 till today, there have been many arrests in different states for election fraud, electric rigging, ballot harvesting, all that, whatever they're charged with. There's a lot of people that have been found guilty of that. So that's one thing, the people that were doing the bad, they're getting arrested. And you're not going to hear that in the news. The CNN's not going to come out and tell you, 3 election workers in Georgia were sentenced to 10 years in prison today for election fraud in 2020. You're not going to hear that.
Right.
You have to go dig for that stuff or look somewhere else for your news. So you have that happening, and you also have state legislators that are making laws to get rid of the ballot boxes, the mail-in ballot boxes, or the mail-in voting booths, or whatever you want to call it. They're getting rid of those. They're getting rid of different things. They're putting in law a state to have mandatory ID. And I don't know the exact number on how many states have done that since 2020, but it's more than we had in 2020. Empath Lady, yes. 2000 Mules document shows you how it was stolen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I have to watch it.
Yes,
I'm so sorry, but I will watch it.
Once you watch 2000 Mules, you'll understand how they did this. And it's bigger than you can even imagine what they did. And How did they fund it? Let's go back, and we're going to circle back to something we said earlier. How did they fund these operations? Through Act Blue. Because when the riots of 2020 was happening, if you wanted to donate to help people and the BLM and you wanted to do that, you ended up voting or donating through Act Blue.
Right.
And they used that money to fund their operation. Just like now, they're using the Act Blue money to fund Kamala's PSYOP. Now, I call it a PSYOP for her. So, yes, I agree with people that say that our elections are rigged. 100%. But you can say that all day long, and you can keep saying in the future, what are you going to do to help change that? Instead of just accepting it, say, my vote doesn't matter. I guess I just won't vote this year. Well, great. If a lot of people have that attitude, then yes, we're going to be in the same cycle over and over and over again. So if you are saying that, my question to you is, what are you going to do to help change that?
Right. I want to show you this that I shared on Twitter that made me really think. It says one of the penalties of refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors.
Exactly. 100% agree with that. And so when it comes to this year, you have a clear choice. You've seen, we're going to get into Agenda 47 here in a second, but we know what Trump stands for. We have no clue what Kamala stands for, other than what she has said in the past, what her track record has been, and her VP's track record. We can see that. Do you want what they've done in the past to be the future of America?
Right.
Or the other choice, do you want what Donald Trump did as 4 years of president? Do you want that instead? It's pretty clear choice here.
Right. But I think that's the catch that people are getting hung up on. Like what Cindy Lynn has been commenting in the chat, like, he's a convicted felon, or it's a MAGA cult, or, certain things like that. And I did touch on this in previous streams, is that, they're weaponizing the DOJ to do everything in their power to make him look like a bad guy. And that's what we're saying. You have to ruffle through all of that propaganda and see what the man is actually saying and promoting and what his platform is versus what is this woman promoting and what is her platform. Regardless of whether she's a woman or a man, that's another thing. They want to make it into a race thing, a gender thing. And everything is always like so superficial nowadays that I kind of hate it. But at the same time, if you want to go there, I'll go there. I'll never vote for a woman just because she is a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what people always want to talk about. So, okay, let's talk about it. Yeah, I would never vote for her because she is a woman. Plain and simple as that. Like, no background story to give there. That's just a very, simple statement to make. And then people are going to be like, I will never vote for a convicted felon. Okay, great. But now the election is going to be in November. What are you going to do? So that's exactly why I agree with you on all of these things. And I can actually put that behind me. I can put the propaganda that they do against Trump about, he said recently that, just vote for me this one time, Christians, and then you'll never have to do it again. Right. And then they twist that statement to make it seem like, does he mean that he's going to become a dictator and that we won't ever have to vote again and we won't have to what does he mean by that? And I'm like, I'm sick and tired of it, because we already had this 10 years ago in 2016 when he was saying a bunch of other stuff that is considered worse than what he said that day. And y'all love to twist his words and do this whole back and forth. Yep. So I'm not going to participate in the back and forth. I'm not going to comment on every little thing you want to bring up because he's such a bad guy. Like, grow up already. And when I had Quinn Wright on the show, his main purpose was, I want to show that Trump is not a racist. And he did his slideshow and he had a great show. Yep. And I'm like, you see what I'm saying? He had the time, the energy, the work he put in, because that's important to him. And then he showcased that on my show. So you see, a guy like Quinn can do it, and I'm appreciative for people like that, because if it was me, I will dead ass tell you I don't care. Don't bring it up. Like, honestly, I'm not gonna do. I got 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing. I'm not doing these little baby details with you. And as grown ass adults, I get a little sick and tired with it, because I'm like, so how many times have we brought up propaganda, the media, how they twist things? I'm not gonna do this with you. If you don't see what's going on right now, if you don't see that the political stuff is getting weaponized, that they are turning Trump into a bunch of things that we have never seen before, like they are setting a lot of precedents that is not good, in my opinion. Because if he gets into office and the tables are turned and he starts attacking his political opponents and starts putting them in jail, what are you going to say then? Oh, he can't do that. Oh, the Supreme Court is giving immunity. What are you talking about? Do your research and stop it. You're too old for this. So anyways.
I got nothing to say, but on that one. That's it. That's all I can say. Because you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And this goes all the way back to March of 2020 when I woke up to the political stuff. And the only reason, for those that don't know, I've said it 1,000 times, the only reason I woke up was because I had a question. My question was, why is the media always bashing Trump? Why? It's never happened before to any other president. Now I can answer that. It never happened to any other president because they were all part of the Uniparty. Trump's not part of the Uniparty. That's why they're going after him the way they have since he came down the escalator.
Exactly. It was the very first time that the red pill got stuffed in my throat. Okay, I didn't want to take the red pill. It was given to me because it woke you up. It made you think. It got you a little offended until you did the research and say, oh, snap, what did Trump say? So it's like, it made you listen for once in your life. And then the red pill kind of wakes you up to that. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, yes, this is important. If this keeps going the way it is, it's not going to be an information war. It is going to be a bullet war. Because how much further do you want this to go? Like I ask you this all the time, Jimmy, even in our private phone calls. Where is the red line? Because if I feel like this, and I'm a 28-year-old Gen Z woman who doesn't really have much experience, imagine the young men who do have experience, like the Kyle Rittenhouses of America. How do you think they feel? If I'm already feeling like, oh, this is too much for me. Why is this happening? Imagine them. Imagine young patriots who are willing to do what it takes to take back their country. So where is the red line here?
It goes back to the phrase, people do not have the will of change until they are up against the precipice of destruction. And the precipice is different for a lot of people. Some of us reached that precipice back in 2020. Some of us reached that precipice back in 2016. You've reached the precipice apparently this year.
Yes. Yeah, no, last year. Yeah.
Last year. Okay, so last year. So within the year, you've reached the precipice.
Yeah.
Once enough people reach the precipice, then that's when we take back this country. That's when people will have the will to change and not fall for the propaganda. And I'm telling you right now, this has been an information war. This is a type of war that the deep state never thought they would have to fight. They always thought they could just use their media, put their information out, start their wars, and they will continue on and on. They didn't see this coming. They didn't see people waking up to the extent that people are waking up right now. They are panicked right now because they have lost the information war. When you start kicking people off of platforms because they're speaking out of something that they're speaking out against your propaganda, you've already lost.
Yeah.
When you start to censor people, you've already lost. When you gaslight people,
Mhm.
you've already lost.
Yep.
So they have lost this information war. And what do they have left? All they have left is panic and chaos and war. And
Right.
what do we see happening right now? What's the buildup?
Yep.
So, yeah, it's I'm actually excited to be alive right now because I know
Yeah.
I know people are just like tired, they're frustrated. They feel like, oh, they're gonna lock us in, we're gonna have martial law and they're gonna put us in FEMA camps. Okay, I understand that because that was their plan.
Mhm.
But I see good things ahead. I see people waking up every day. I see stuff being exposed. Things that you never thought you would see exposed are being exposed. And I'm telling you, there's a lot more coming.
Right.
So,
Right. I think these are the growing pains. Like I said, America is still very young, and we are the very first to really have all of these freedoms in our Constitution. We are the leader. So I get it. I think that America is in a growing pain right now, and that after we get over this, then at least enough people are awake to never vote like that again, to never promote those things ever again. Because there are people who are either detransitioning or deprogramming their views and saying, oh, like Amber Rose, I used to believe in the left wing ideology and now I'm awake and I see this. And those are the type of people that we need to embrace, because I feel the exact same way. Yeah, I used to think like that in 2016, but then everything changed after that. And then last year, I made the concrete decision to change my life forever. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to be preaching everything that we're saying here and then looking like a hypocrite, because then in your real life, you're going to condone these things. And then you're going to go on screen and say, oh, I don't agree with this. So no, I had to change my life first, be convicted in that, in my private life, to then be able to do this publicly. And that's why I'm not afraid to do this, because I'm like, I actually believe in what I say. I'm not joking around. I took my kids out of school and I homeschooled them. I sacrificed my life, my youthfulness. I got rid of my job. Like, I changed my whole entire life because I will never allow them to participate in the things that they are doing in the schools. Like you said, he let the men's bathroom have tampons and the women, this gender confusion. Absolutely not. So that's why I did what I did.
And see, and you asked me about, what's the red line? How do we change that?
Mm-hmm.
You changed your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I changed my life. If every one of us changed our lives and not allowed to be manipulated by these people, they're done.
Right. That's where it starts. It starts with you. Like literally, it starts with you and your personal life, because now I would never fall for those traps ever again. And I'm not gonna let my children fall for that either, because homeschooling and that's a protection. It is a protection. And you know how they demonize homeschoolers? They say, oh, that they're not going to be sociable. They're not going to have certain milestones as they should. And they really scare the parent into thinking that you need to send them to 8 hours a day to sit down and to follow rules and to follow a curriculum that may not work for them, but you got to force them into this society, into this construct, and force them to do things that they don't want to do. And then on top of that, I have to deal with other children who bully and who curse, and this whole society that is so disgusting and degenerate. I was like, absolutely not. I am going to either do private or home. Like, I was like, oh, we need to do something, because I'll be damned if I was shunned for getting pregnant, for having children, if my family threw me away for all of my decisions, right? Because I left the Jehovah's Witnesses. And then to let the society ruin my kids? Oh, no. You know, like, it was more important to me that I stick up for these things, because I'm like, I'm not gonna let that be in vain, losing literally everything, and then letting my kids go to school and start saying curse words and start thinking they're gay and stuff. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm gonna be a present parent. I'm going to teach what's right and wrong, what's the truth and what's a lie, and also teach them about politics in the same way we're doing it. I teach it to them as well. Even though they're young, I tell them, what you're watching right now, yeah, it's bad. But remember, this is a stage.
Yep.
What you see on TV is not real. Like,
Yep.
you know, the whole Trump stuff, my kids saw that. And I was trying to shield it from them, but they saw it. You know what I'm saying? It's just everywhere. And my son, because they love Trump, they were like, oh my God, I got shot. And they went crazy like the way I was doing it. And I'm like, I was Jimmy. I was like, relax. Don't be afraid, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like I take listen, anybody who I come into contact with, I literally take pointers from different people and I implement that in my personal life. So the Jimmy came out and said, don't be afraid, guys. Everything you see is fake.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, and the most important takeaway for the viewers with that last statement and everything you've been saying is you took control for yourself and you took control for your family. And if everybody did that, if everybody took control for themselves and their families and their loved ones, you can't be manipulated by these people that have been running everything for so very long, because they can't combat against that. When they lose a little bit of control, they freak out. And so, yes, they will start to demonize people that want to homeschool their kids. They want to demonize you if you don't believe that there's 650,000 genders, you know? So that's what they do. And so that's how they get defeated, is by people understanding what's really going on. And for the folks like you and I and many others, we've changed our life. We see what's going on. Then we get passionate about helping our fellow humanity. That's why we come out and do this. I mean, we don't get paid for what we do.
Right.
Other than knowing that in our heart, we've done all we can to help educate folks, to help them understand, hey, we're fighting something bigger than you can possibly even imagine. Are you on board with this, or are you not going to get in the game? And if you're not going to get in the game, so to speak, don't be giving me crap about what I'm doing.
Right. Because at least we're doing something. At least we're taking out the time and the energy to do this. Meanwhile, everybody is so opinionated, but did you do the research? Did you share with your friends and family? Did you make a video or at least do something to share that? Like, what are you doing with it? So you just have all these opinions and you say so many things, but you don't fact check nothing that you say. If you're corrected or whatever, you'll never know because you're not listening to other people. Like, at least I'm opening up the space so that it can be a back and forth. It's not just me here giving you all of my opinions and saying, this is the truth. This is what you need to do. This is who you need to vote for. We're not doing that, but we're doing something. Exactly. Like, at least, like my husband said one time, he was like, listen, even if this is a matrix, even if this is a simulation, even if everything is fake, do I want a fake world with Kamala or do I want a fake world with Trump? Like, what do you really want at the end of the day? Because even if you do feel like, oh, I can't do anything, I don't have any money, the people who have money make decisions and they do things. But if you feel that way, take it down to square one. If you really do think that everything is fake and rigged, what kind of a rigged world you want? Do you want the rigged Trump or do you want the rigged Kamala?
Yeah, I think, in my personal opinion, I believe that the election for 2024, there is no comparison. There's no, in my opinion, there's no, oh, we're just voting for the lesser of two evils. No, it's very clear where each person stands. And I'm just going to leave it at that and not get into everything else, because there's a clear, obvious choice. If you want open borders and cuts to Social Security and medical, if you want tampons in boys' bathrooms, if you want illegal aliens to get licenses, driver's license, sure, go ahead, vote for Kamala. Go ahead. But
exactly, like, it's so hard, bro.
But if you want to, see some other points of view on the Agenda 47, then let's talk about those, you know? So is that where we want to go now?
Yes. So I got his website so that everybody can see where you're going to be talking off of. I think there's 20 points, right?
Yeah, and we don't have to spend, a lot of time on each point. Hell, we can just highlight them and then just say a little bit about it or whatever, and then move on. But people can, here's the gist of it. So number one on Agenda 47 is seal the border and stop the migrant invasion.
Yep. Love it.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
is.
If you don't have a border, you don't have a nation. And why is it okay for migrants, illegal migrants, to be housed in 5-star hotel rooms, to be getting their EBT benefits, for getting health care, when you've got millions of vets that aren't getting crap? Why didn't we years ago refurbish an old hotel and let our homeless veterans stay there? Why not?
Right. Isn't that what taxes is for, though, Jimmy? Like, I don't know. I was under the impression that taxes are used for like infrastructure, for community, and for the veterans. Like, I would assume that our taxes would cover that.
But if you're stealing the tax money and using it for someplace else, the money's not there. But it's there for their agenda. It's there for what they want to push.
Right.
So, but I think, and as far as the border wall and everything, Trump was right to do that. And it has actually been coming out here in the past year that there are other folks on the Democratic side that had said, yes, maybe we should have had a wall. Okay.
Right.
And Trump, the wall wasn't finished. However, there's the other part of me, y'all know the other part of me, where I believe that was done on purpose. So people would be shown what would happen if you had an open border. Can we say that we've seen more stuff happen because our border was open in the last 4 years? Yes or no? So yeah, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Needs to happen. We can't afford it.
Right.
As citizens.
Right.
Number 2, carry out the largest deportation operation in American history by far. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah. Sorry, not about that. That's the next one. That's number 4. I got my notes. But carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. Yes, these folks, if you're here illegally, why is it fair for you to jump the line for the folks that have been in line for years to come in this country legally?
Yeah.
Why is it fair for you? You need to go back home and file the proper paperwork.
Yep. I agree. 100%. And I do come from a family of immigrants. I'm Puerto Rican. And even though that is a part of the United States, it still felt like immigration because they had to travel to the States. They had to assimilate. They had to learn English. They had to go through the similar process of different countries that they come from. So I understand it. And my husband's stepfather is Dominican. So we are Puerto Rican and Dominican. And that's how he had to come. He had to come for work. He had to apply for residency. And then he married an American. And she's also Dominican, but she was born here. And then 10 to 15 years later, he became a permanent resident. And then he became a citizen. Like, that took almost 20 years to get done, and a lot of money in the meantime. While he assimilated, he learned English, he paid his taxes, he worked here, and that's the right way to do that. And that's why it's important for us as Hispanics. It kind of hits a little, like, it digs a little deeper for me, because I'm like, as a Hispanic, I understand the Hispanic community, but at the exact same time, you can't just come here illegally, get EBT, get food stamps, get cash, get hotel five-star stay, and then bypass everything and all of the hard work that previous generations had to do. And then we're the generation of Hispanic children who were already born here. We are American.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you can't just skip the line. Like, what is that?
Yeah, and what a lot of people need to understand is, again, this goes to a bigger issue. Why do you want illegal immigration? Why does the deep state want that? And that goes into the whole great replacement theory. That goes into the whole they're losing D voters, so they need a new voting block. I mean, it goes deep. It goes a lot deeper, and we can touch on that later if you want. But another thing that a lot of people don't understand, and I heard this today, you have people saying, "Oh, well, I need to seek asylum in the United States." You know, technically, when you're in a country and you want to seek asylum, technically, it's supposed to be to the next freest country next to you.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I learned that today. So if you got somebody in, oh God, I don't know my borders right now, but if you got somebody in Venezuela and they want to seek asylum, they have to seek the next country, the next free country that they can do that in. Why are people skipping the next countries and going straight to the United States?
Right. Okay. I understand. Yeah.
So what agenda is being fulfilled there? So yes, we need to have the largest deportation operation in American history. And I think it was Eisenhower that did that previously. I think it was Eisenhower. I could be wrong, but maybe somebody can fact check me on that. See who it was. All right. Number 3, end inflation and make America affordable again. Yes. Inflation is just it's a secret tax.
It's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a growing monster. But I think also if we remember, I think it was that Joe Biden ended the pipeline, which was supposed to create jobs and create what were they pumping? Was it oil?
Oil, yeah.
Was it? Okay. So yeah, that project, and I remember it vaguely, but I do remember that when he ended it, that was devastating. And I think that was either the beginning or already in the middle of inflation, because I think that project was supposed to keep us afloat. And then when he ended it, it kind of dropped us, like flushed us. And that's why we're seeing the effects of inflation.
Oh yeah, and inflation it's nothing but theft again. That's all. That's what inflation is. It's a tax on the poor people, because and the reason I say that is because a very rich person, they don't mind paying $3.40 to a gallon of gas. It's not gonna hurt their bottom line. But you got somebody making $15 an hour supporting 2 kids. That's a huge problem for them. Oh, you broke out on me.
Okay. Just give me 1 second. You could go to the next number and then I'll be right back.
Okay. So inflation, when Trump was in office, inflation was under control. And then as what Ruby said about the pipeline not being able to be constructed, that affected a lot of jobs, not just for the people on the pipeline, but for the communities that would be supporting the workers of the pipeline. So there's a trickle effect on how it would affect the economy in a bad way. And that's what happened. So yes, we do need to end inflation and make America affordable again. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Number 4, make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. We were energy independent under Trump. We have more oil under America than anywhere else in the world. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Iraq. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't be a dominant energy producer. And if you're a dominant energy producer, you can export that stuff out to other nations. which again, that money comes back into the United States. Going back to number 3, well, it makes America affordable again because now we have better jobs, better wages, things like that. So yeah, make us dominant energy. They're killing us with the Green New Deal plan that they want to do. And they try to play on your emotions and say, oh, it's climate change. Don't even get me started about climate change. This is not the night for that. So I'm not even going to go there. But yeah, what's wrong with making America the dominant energy producer? Who's against that?
Yeah, that's what I said recently. Like, me and my husband were arguing till like 2-3 a.m. and I kept telling him, why is it so hard for you to believe that America First can have like not isolate completely, but I mean, in my dream world, I would love it if America would just do what you said, like, don't outsource to any other country and do everything in America. So why is it so hard to believe that? Oh, because we have a deals, or Japan is buying our debt and we owe them this and that. And I'm like, so you're fighting for the establishment. Like, you're literally having an argument for the establishment that we need other countries and we need to partner up with this and we need things like NATO and things. And I'm like, you're buying into the establishment, because I'm literally like radical. I want to abolish everything, get rid of everything, and then just do everything in America. And he's like, oh, but you can't do that. And I'm like, okay, so I see how people still believe that we need to buy the oil from this country and we need to do business with this country and we need to help them with this stuff and we need to do like why can't we just be America First, literally? Exactly. And it would change drastically, and then we'll work on that. But you got to scrap what we got now, because what we got now, I feel like we're stepping on a lot of toes. Like, we're walking on eggshells because one little thing, and everybody's talking about war and everybody's talking about nukes. And I'm like, but why are they talking about those things? Don't you think that America is probably a little bit of the problem? Like, our occupation is a little bit of the problem. Why do we have so many bases around the world? Why are we policing the world? And things like that.
Yeah, and it all goes back to the structure of the deep state globalists and how they operate. That's what it goes back to. But as going back to the point of make America first, keep America first. We're not calling for isolationism. We're not calling for that.
Right.
We're calling fix America, take care of our people, and then as we see fit, and it's in the people's best interest, then yes, let's create trade with this country. Let's create trade with that country, and do it in a way that benefits Americans and not the powers to be. It's not that difficult to figure out. So,
right. Yeah, that was just like my opinion. Let me just clarify that. That was my opinion.
And you're right. You're right. So that actually goes into number 5. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into manufacturing superpower.
There you go. Yes, that's what I mean. It's like, why can't we bring everything back? Like, because where it says made in China, made in Vietnam, made in Indonesia. I'm like, why can't we make it in the United States of America and buy from American companies, American workers, American everything? Like, what's so hard about that?
Well, and that's the way it used to be. Things were made in America, and they last so much longer. I mean, you ask anybody that's in their 70s or 80s right now, and you ask them, hey, how long did a refrigerator last back in the 40s and 50s? Oh, you mean the one that's still in our kitchen now?
Yes, exactly.
Why is it when you buy an appliance now, you're going to be replacing that appliance in 4 to 6 years? Or a car?
Yeah.
The products that we have now are cheaply made. And there's several reasons for that. One, to keep us buying the cheap products. Oh, my TV broke down. I got to go get another TV. Oh, I really like this brand and style, so I'm going to get the same one. So I'm back in the cycle again 4 years down the road.
Right. And did you see that movie with Clint Eastwood? I forgot the title of it, but it's like that viral clip where he says, "Would it hurt you to buy a Ford?" And it's like he's talking to his son in that scene because he's seeing like his neighborhood is changing. There's like Filipino families coming in, and he's like this staunch, stubborn, and the movie wants to make him like a little bit racist and stuff like that. And is that's why I wanted to watch it, because it's a really edgy movie. And then he was telling his son, like, damn, like, would it really hurt you to buy a Ford? Like, buy American, like, be proud to be American. And that's what came to mind when you were talking.
And once people realize the atmosphere that these people overseas, what they work in, the conditions they work in, there's not one person that has a job right now. And y'all can, we complain about our jobs, this and that. Yeah, go try working for some of these factories overseas. You would,
Sweatshops.
yeah, you would not do it. You would not work in those sweatshops. So why are you buying their products?
Oh, yo, that really hit me, because I do purchase like from Shane and different companies like that, and I know it's a Chinese company, and I'm gonna do my best to change my habits because I totally agree with you. And that is the controversy, is that all of these things, they have either child labor, or they have long working hours, or unclean conditions, or whatever, and they try to do like these PR stunts of like bringing influencers and trying to change the perspective. But the truth is exactly what you just said. Same thing with Tesla and the electric car thing. Where do they get their batteries from? Where do they get the minerals from? These African countries that literally people make less than what, $1 a day or something like that.
Yep.
And it's literal like physical labor to get the materials from the ground or the mountain or whatever, and then to import it, import it back into America. And you're thinking, oh, let me be green, let me do this for the environment. And meanwhile, the Kardashians are taking flights to different countries just for a cheesecake, and then coming back home and you drinking out of a cardboard straw. No.
While you're
no,
watching the Kardashians on TV.
Exactly. But you're thinking, let me drive my little electric car. The child who was digging for the minerals to get the battery for you, yeah. Say thank you to the child.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And see, and people don't want to think that way because it creates cognitive dissonance. They do not want to think that way. They're just thinking in their head what the media has told them. Hey, you need to get a electric vehicle because it's good for the environment. And then because they think, like you said, oh, I'm doing good I'm doing good. Well, you also thought you were doing good when you were wearing masks and getting jabbed. How did that turn out? So people have to change the thinking, which goes back to changing yourself and doing the research and doing the work. Don't be lazy. Don't be complacent.
Exactly. Just like Lucy said here, shame on anyone who buys from Temu or Shane. And that's why I'm being like super honest right now and saying that I have purchased from Shane before. And it's literally everything that we're talking about. The inflation has made it so expensive, so bad to purchase things. And then you go online and you say, oh, a shirt for $2? Sure, let me order it. And then that's the culture that you end up falling into. And then you don't even know that you're supporting these things. So once I found that out, I was like, okay, I need to do something different. Go to Goodwill or go to a thrift shop or talk to people at your church with same age children that you can, have handy-downs or something, because inflation is that bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like your fast food places like McDonald's. Oh, well, I can get a cheeseburger. Well, now it's like $3. Oh, they got a new $5 deal. And that person on a budget is going to think, yeah, that's great. I can go to McDonald's and get some food. But have you looked at what McDonald's is all about?
I gotta stop that too.
There.
Oh my God.
So,
you
anyway.
see, those are my two things. My two things are to start buying American, and the next one is to stop eating fast food. So that's where I'm at. So I totally agree with all of you guys.
Yeah. And so and what we're trying to show you folks is things that you can do now to change the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're showing you. So instead of saying, oh, it's all rigged and this, okay, yeah, I agree with you, but change it.
Right.
If you're still going to shop from Temu or Shane, or you're still going to go to McDonald's, or if you're still going to send your kids to public indoctrination camps, then you're right. Nothing's going to change.
Right. And that's where it starts. It's first identifying the problem, saying, yes, I disagree with this. So then I should hold my dollar and protest with my dollar, boycott with my dollar. And that's how you make the change. So it's the knowledge, identification, being accountable and real with yourself and saying, okay, I need to put my dollar elsewhere. And that's where I really do protest. I boycotted Netflix, Disney Plus, Disney, like a lot of things, corporations that I have boycotted because they have blatantly disrespected average people with either Christian beliefs or just other beliefs that they just attack the family. Yeah. And so I don't feel good continuing my subscription with a company or with whatever that doesn't align with my values. So yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, is to protest with your dollar.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 6, large tax cut for workers and no tax on tips.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. There's no reason I give somebody a $10 tip and the company should get any of that, or even the federal government should get that. Large tax cut for workers. We had the largest tax cuts in American history under Donald Trump. And it just wasn't he helped out big business. All right. Well, I work for a large insurance company. All right. Technically, I'm self-employed. I don't have to, they don't take my taxes out. I'm responsible for that. But if you work for a large company, you want your large company to succeed. So yes, there needs to be tax cuts and cuts on regulation for these large companies, so that they can produce their products, so they can sell their products, so they can make money and afford to give you better wages. And if you don't like that, go work for yourself. I've been doing it since I was 21 years old.
Right.
So, yes, tax cuts are a good thing. And it's not only designed, the Democrats and Republicans under George Bush, they would give tax cuts to the wealthy and not make these companies pay anything in federal tax dollars. Why is it okay for them not to have to pay federal tax money when it's forced upon us? And that goes into the whole thing where the taxes, the IRS, the Federal Reserve, that's all unconstitutional. And they know it. So they're not forcing their puppets to play that game. Just leave that for the people.
Right. Okay. And let me quickly ask you also as well. I remember this phrase when I was younger, trickled down economics. Is that something along the lines of what you're talking about? Because it's like they want to lower the taxes and then they make it seem like, oh yeah, then the company will make more money and in turn give you the benefits or give you a bonus or higher the rate. And then did that work?
Yeah, I mean that's what you call. I mean you can't. I mean I can't. I can't start a business right now and be able to afford to pay somebody $20 an hour to put packets together. I have to build my business to a point to where I can afford to give my workers a fair wage. And I mean, you think about, you can't help someone in your life personally until you've helped yourself.
Right.
So that's trickle down. How am I going to help you if I haven't taken care of myself yet?
Right. Because you're going to be struggling and then you're going to fall and then you're going to be bankrupt and then the whole business is going to go down. I totally understand that. But even with big corporations, it's like they want to raise the minimum wage, for example. And then they get upset when the product price has gone up. And it's like, well, where do you think they're going to meet the gap? If you want more pay, then they're going to bring all the prices back up. And that's why I was always against raising the minimum wage.
Oh yeah, raising the minimum wage is that's ridiculous. But what people need to understand is what is the term for fascism. Fascism is when the corporations get in bed with the government to benefit each other and rob and pillage the people. So you have these corporations out there that are pushing the agenda. How many corporations out there are pushing DEI? How many corporations are pushing, we need higher, this person that works at this fast food restaurant should be making $20 an hour to flip a burger. Which
right.
Half the time you're not even flipping the burger, it's going through a machine.
Right.
So it's a whole economic structure that they've created, the deep state's created, to benefit themselves and their minions.
So do you right. I'm glad you brought that up because I want to ask your opinion on that. So do you think that we are right at the door of fascism? Because
we've been there for a long time.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know how to ask you because I'm thinking when you mentioned that they are in bed together, I was thinking the corporations, they buy the politicians, or they fund their campaigns, or they do lobbying, and then when the person is pushed through, they say, okay, now you owe me what we agreed on.
Yep, totally. That's exactly right.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I think that's our problem. We need to break up the corporations and the government.
Exactly. Number 7, defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. I'll tell you right now, the only reason the United States hasn't fallen yet, like the UK, Canada, Australia, and other nations, is because of our Constitution.
Right.
And what people need to understand is the Constitution was written by we the people telling the government, this is what we're going to allow you guys to do. And if you don't abide by our rules, then we're going to get rid of you. But somewhere along the way, Americans forgot that. And they think that we should be listening to what the government tells us to do.
Right.
They flipped the script on us. So Americans forgot how to fight. It's like when you tell your kid, hey, your bedtime is at 8:00 tonight, and before you go to bed, you need to brush your teeth and put your toys away. That's what you told your kid to do. And your kid comes around and says, yeah, I'm not doing that, Mom. What are you going to do? It's the same thing. We told the government, hey, we have the right to free speech. We have the right to practice whatever religion we want to. We have the right to keep and bear arms. Who are you to tell us that we can't? We told you that's in our contract. That's what we're agreeing to. And you are supposed to be representing us. And you're not representing us, so you need to go.
Right. Yeah. I see the shift. I see what you're talking about when you say along the lines we lost that, is because when my grandmother was alive and we would talk about certain things like this, her generation, I could tell, was way more determined, way more bold and courageous, and they knew what was up. And so then my mom's generation was kind of the generation that dropped the ball, and I could tell because that was, I think she's considered millennial, 1960, 1966, so the late 60s. That's when my mom. That's when she was born. So my grandma's generation is the 40s and 50s, and then her generation is she was born in the 60s, and then teenager at the 80s, and then I come in the 90s.
Okay.
So that generation from the 60s to the 80s, they kind of dropped the ball, in my opinion, because I'm like, if it was important to them, my mother and my father would have taught me these things, but they didn't. Nobody cared to do that. Everybody was in this I'm gonna work on my career. I'm a girl boss. I'm gonna, and then I'm the baby in the 90s, and she kind of just gave me to my grandmother. So I used to feel like my grandmother was my mother. And that happens a lot in Hispanic households. It's like you really grow up with your grandparent and the values of that grandparent.
Right.
And so that's why I feel like I'm so traditional and I have these underlying, ideologies, is because I grew up with grandma and grandpa, and they weren't about that stuff. Those things did not fly in grandma's house. Okay.
Yeah.
They were really strict and they disciplined, and they did not do gentle parenting and all this crap that millennials and then Gen Z came up with. Like, that doesn't exist. And so that's why sometimes I feel out of place. But yeah, if they really cared, they would have taught me these things, and you would know how to be an American and vote and be involved, aside from like the cult stuff, because that also goes into it. Like, once they joined the cult, it was like, okay, full stop, we're not gonna even vote, doesn't even matter because Armageddon is coming. So it's kind of like, okay, so what are we here for? Like what's your purpose? What am I here for? So yeah, so I do feel like that generation kind of dropped the ball, and that's when feminism was coming up and the women were getting careers and focusing on that instead of raising their children. And then that trickles down to my generation, and they're doing the exact same thing, giving their babies to their mothers, they're not taking parental control. And I feel like I'm the only one who's like, no, these are my kids. I'm going to raise them. I'm right here. Like, you can't bypass me. I'm the wall. So yeah, I feel like I'm taking a different approach. And then when I do associate with other moms, they're way older than me. Like, they're in their 30s and like they're or 40s, and they're older than me. So yeah, I do see that.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that could be talked about. Number 7, our freedom of speech, that's a subject, freedom of religion, right to keep and bear
arms. That should be a
arms.
given though, right? Like, that should be common sense.
Yeah, well, yes. Yes.
Like why is that even there? Like, to me, in my opinion, the fact that it's even written there that it needs to be explained, it's devastating, because in my opinion, you should know this as an American. That's the fundamental, most simplest thing to do, is to defend your rights. If you're not defending your rights, then who are you? Like when the cops stop you, no, you're not going to see my ID. What are you stopping me for? You know what I mean? Like you have that sense of, like, you defend yourself, your rights.
Exactly. You talked about common sense, and it seems like, why should we even be having to make this a point?
Right.
Drop down to number 17.
Okay, number 17. Keep men out of women's sports.
Why do we even need to have that conversation? Why?
You see what I'm saying? Like, for real, the fact that we're in 2024, like, let's put this into perspective. We are in 2024, and we are talking about keeping men, biological men, out of biological women's sports. Like, if my grandma was alive today, we would be cackling it up, because I'm like, Grandma, can you see what's going on right here? There's a man beating the bleep out of this woman on TV.
Again, why do we even have to talk about this? Because people have been dumbed down, and they need to be reminded of what common sense actually is. So, yeah, when you said that, I was like, I looked at the list. I said, yeah, drop down to 17. Why do we have to talk about that? Why do we have to talk about, there shouldn't be tampons put in little boys' bathrooms?
Exactly.
Really? So anyway, yeah, common sense needs to
come back.
Yeah, it needs to come back in this country. All right, let's go on back up to 8. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America. Now, remember, folks, we are talking about Agenda 47. This is Trump's platform. So on his platform, he wants to prevent World War III. I mean, what's wrong with that? There's only 2 choices. Either you want peace or you want war. Which one do you want? Which one do you want for your family? Peace or war? Pretty simple. Restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East. Again, what would you rather have? Peace, war, whatever. builds a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country. I don't know how he's going to do that, but defending our country is not a bad thing. And if you're going to do something like that, make it in America. Go back up to number 5, stop outsourcing and turn us into a manufacturing superpower. So,
right. But I think they do already have that concept about the Iron Dome, because I think Israel has it, I believe.
well, Israel has it, yes,
yeah.
over Israel, but that's a smaller geographical area. So I don't know how they're going to do that. I'm sure it has something to do with different missile sites, different things like
Right. I agree with you, but I do think that it's already being like produced. Like I do think that that's happening already.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. There's a lot of things that I really do feel like have happened already. We just don't know about it yet.
Of course,
as the public,
that's the money. That's the money. Yeah. That's the dark money. And when they say, "Oh, we don't know where the $2.1 trillion went," oh, we don't know. I'm like, come on, this is. Are we dumb? Like, am I dumb? Is it me? Am I tripping? Like, sometimes I feel like, nah, chill.
So they can come out. And say, "Oh, well, we don't know where that $2.1 billion went. It was an error, or we accidentally misplaced this money."
Yeah.
As an American citizen, try telling that to the IRS. I don't know where that $300 went. I don't. They would throw your butt in jail and fine you and throw you in jail if you use that same defense for yourself against the IRS. Come on now.
Exactly. Or when Biden pushed that thing where he said, "Oh, that Cash App was now going to start limiting how many times you could send forth money, and that if it reaches over $600, that they're going to tax you on that." Because, a lot of people get paid in cash, or, like there's a lot of people off the books. They don't want you living off the grid, off the books. So when they see these transactions and it will flag if it's over $600. I was like, what? What? Because I use Cash App. I don't have banks. I stopped believing in those types of things as well. I don't have bank accounts. I don't have anything in my name. I don't have I try to skirt the government as much as I can because I hate it so much. But once they attacked my Cash App, I was like, stop it. I mean, thank God I don't put that much money in it, but like, damn, for the people who have it's been working, or like Chime, or like these like alternative banking systems, they're already attacking it. I'm sorry, it's just too much.
Yeah. Rules for thee, rules for me, not for thee. So that's a great idea. Let's fix that. Where are we on? Number 9? Yeah. In the weaponization of government against the American people. This goes right along the line of what we're talking about. The IRS has been a weapon used against the people. The Department of Justice, the CIA, the FBI, all these government agencies have been established to create a central control system to affect everybody. And that's why the Chevron decision by the Supreme Court was so important, because it limited and it ended some of the things that these three-letter agencies were doing as weaponization against America. So are you for the government weaponizing the government to hurt people, or are you not for that?
Right.
I'm gonna probably do this with every one of these points because the choice is clear.
Yes.
Do you want government to go after you, or do you want government to leave you the hell alone?
Right. Okay. Because if Kamala would have had something similar, we can do the back and forth. But since there's nothing on her website, there's nothing that I can say, okay, well, what's the alternative? And then actually give you an answer by looking at her website. And we literally don't have anything. So that was really devastating to me. Like, that's scary. How do you not have your platform on there, but you're claiming that you're going to run for president, and we don't know nothing about what you stand for or what you believe on certain issues?
Yep.
And exactly what you've been saying about that one, weaponization of the government. What happened to people who went to J6? They were literally targeted down and arrested, like literally. What happened to people who were posting those memes? They were arrested for
Mhm.
joking and for saying stuff that, oh, we don't agree with that. We need to censor your joke.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
there's people in the UK getting arrested for saying stuff on Facebook, on social media.
I was getting ready to say that. Did you see
Yes.
that video where that police officer was arresting that guy for a comment that he made on Facebook?
I didn't
the
see the
UK?
video, but I saw the mugshots. I saw like
Okay.
somebody put a mugshot of two men, Englishmen. One was arrested for this post. One was arrested for this post. And then the third mugshot was this asylum seeker who raped a girl and was given probation and was let go.
And see,
And then Elon is like, what the heck is going on?
yeah, and see, and the reason these countries can get away with doing that is because they don't have a constitution that protects the people. So that's how they get away with it. Now they try it here, but eventually it goes to court and they lose them. That's one of the thing. Anyway, where are we at? Number 10. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders. Remember, this is Trump's platform. This is what he wants to do. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. We see that every day in the news. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. The drug cartels are making billions of dollars off of harming us. My wife watches a show. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. Maybe it's called At the Border, where they show all these different border stations, and you have these drug officers that are catching people coming across the border with drugs, and not just on the border, but also in our ports. I saw one the other night where they were putting drugs inside the tires. It's amazing the ingenuity that these people have on where they hide their drugs at. It's crazy.
And just like Beth said right here, migrants are getting 13,000. And I saw the the TikTok where they were talking about that. 13,000 food stamps. Is that crazy or what? And people dying and being raped and murdered. I'm telling you, I think that's another tactic. Like you said, this is what they want to get you upset and to get you emotionally involved. Because I'm thinking maybe a glitch. Like your very first reaction is to give the benefit of the doubt. And then you go, okay, wait a second. I think they're doing this because they want us to get upset. They want us to rise up and to be angry that this is happening. But I also think that this is just their way of seeing how people are going to react. Like you said, they're going to create the chaos, but we can't let that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. So I don't know how anybody would be against that agenda. Number 11, rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. I don't have a problem with that. I know that going around in my city here in the little town of Burlington, North Carolina, I see a lot of empty buildings. I see rundown apartment complexes that should have been destroyed, demolished years ago. Why can't we have beautiful cities? Why can't we make them safe? I don't see a problem with that.
Right.
Including Washington, D.C. Now, I'll tell you about Washington. I know Washington, D.C. is laid out in a Freemason framework, and I know there's a lot of Freemasonry stuff in Washington, D.C. I get that. When I go to Washington, or last time I went was like 9 years ago, I just thought it was kind of cool because I like going to the museums and learning our history. I'm a history person. I love history. So that's why I liked going to Washington, D.C. because of just the history. So hopefully it can be cleaned up. I don't know. Maybe it just needs to be completely flooded and turn it back into the swamp it once was. So I don't know. I'd like to save Washington, D.C., but get rid of the Freemason stuff. I don't know how you're going to do that, though. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Any comment on that? Any comment on that?
Nope. I just totally agree with you. But okay, yeah. Something came up. when you said, oh, like we can do that, or why can't we do that, right? I was thinking we can do that. And so that's how some people, they take it upon themselves and they invest in their own communities, and they do it like out of pocket.
Yeah.
But that's why I told you before, I'm like, isn't that the purpose of taxes? Like, you pay for that service to be done by the government, like fix the potholes or fix or keep trash off. Like in Florida, those things are taken care of. So like, I don't have a personal problem with it. But like, if it's not being done and you have to take it in within your own hands, then what's the whole point of paying taxes?
Exactly. I was
Like-
I don't know if I'll be able to find it while we're talking or whatever, but I do carry around my the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States. I have my pocket version that
I need one.
that I have that I can refer to stuff to see if it's
Oh my God, I need one.
So I'm going to I got this from Hillsdale College. I'll send you a link or whatever. Online learning you might be able to go. It says online.hillsdale.edu. You might be able to get it there, but I'm sure there's something in here talking about where that tax money should be going, and
Exactly.
it's not going to the right place.
Yup. Okay. What number are we on? 11?
12.
12. Okay, so we did 11. 12. Strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. I think that's already the truth. I think we already are.
There's just one thing to say about that: peace through strength. If you have a strong military,
Mhm.
your government's not going to be messed with. It's technically.
Right.
Think about the American people. Why did the Japanese, I think it was the Japanese. Why did the Japanese not attack the U.S. mainland? Because they said behind every blade of grass there was a citizen with a gun. So peace through strength, simply put.
Yeah, but I think they put it in here because Trump already did this. He funded the military or like the police stuff, because I think Obama had taken some of that. He defunded the program, and then Trump.
Yeah, that was part of the plan to destroy our military. Was from the 16-year plan to destroy America. That was one of the points in there.
Oh, okay.
Destroy our military, because if you have a weak military, your puppet governments want to come over here and start some crap and destroy the United States, start a war. The United States loses that war. What happens to a country that loses the war? Their constitution is done away with.
Right.
So think bigger, folks. Think bigger.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
13, keep the US dollar as the world's reserve currency.
Is that going to be a war? I mean, I think I asked you this before because you mentioned something about Saudi Arabia. You mentioned about
I'll be the first to say, folks, I'm not very good with the nuts and bolts of the economic stuff. Yeah. I'm not an economic major. I don't know much about crypto. I just feel like that's a deep state thing, and I don't want to get involved with it. That's how I feel about it. I could be wrong, but my gut's telling me, yeah, that's something. So it would be a nice idea to keep the dollar as the world's reserve currency, but not under the federal fiat system.
Oh, okay, I need to learn a little bit more about that. Okay.
Yeah. So that I could get behind. There are other countries out there, the BRICS nations, that are moving to precious metals, currency backed by gold.
Yes.
If the United States had a surplus and more gold than anybody else, then I could see, keep the dollar would be used as the world's reserve currency, but not in the form that it is right now.
Right.
That's how I feel. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. So we'll see how he does on that. 14, fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. I agree with that.
Yep. I think that's the general Republican value, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they always talk about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we know that, well, even, Nikki Haley, who was running as a Republican, she
Mhm.
was wanting to raise the retirement age. She's a
Okay.
She's a rhino.
Yeah.
Part of the Uniparty.
Yo,
So-
thank God Donald Trump didn't die, because they would have put Nikki, right? She was like she was the runner up.
They would have tried to put Nikki in there.
Yeah.
And Nikki's a warmonger. So
Yeah. Oh my God. And you know what? Vance said a little something also about Iran. I don't know specifically what he said, but it was very pro-war, and I am a little concerned about him. And I think
don't
I
like
told you
Vance.
this
I don't
before.
like Vance.
Yeah, I don't like him either, because I'm so like anti-war, and I don't like it. Yeah.
But I've been following this stuff for a while and understand how Trump puts people in the spotlight to be exposed. So
Mhm.
we'll see how this plays out with him. I don't
Right.
think he's going to be the eventual vice president. Just like I don't think Kamala is going to make it to the election. I don't think Vance is either. And I'd be surprised if he does, but we'll see how it plays out.
I think he is, though, Jimmy. Did you look into Peter Thiel? I think his name is, and I think we
Yeah.
did talk about
I don't
this.
like Peter Thiel either.
But you know what? I think it was because when he said, "Oh, when Trump asked me for $10 million and I told him no," and then that was a connection where they met. I think that's why he took Vance, is because it's either to get back at him or to get the funding anyways. Because even though he said no, he got Vance, which Vance has Theo's money and funding. So he was like, "I'm gonna take your money regardless." I'm
Yeah.
just like,
I'm not sure what game. I know there's some gameplay going on there. I just don't know
Right.
exactly how
I
it is
think
right
that's
now.
why he picked him. I think it's all
Yes.
about money.
That's a good possibility. Could be. I just, there's something about Vance I don't like. And another thing I don't like is like with Google, and we're kind of getting off topic a little bit with him, but with
Mhm.
Google, when I looked up how tall he was, it said 5'7".
Uh-huh.
Trump is 6'3".
Yeah.
If you look at Vance next to Trump, he's only like an inch or two shorter than him.
Mm-hmm.
And then that doesn't make any sense to me. Why were they saying he was 5'7" and now he looks like he's like 6 feet, 6'1"? There's something.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
There's
Yeah.
something there that doesn't make sense. And I think after I looked that up, I went back to go look up at 2 days later. And, when you ask Google, how tall is JD Vance? When I first did it, it said JD Vance is 5'7".
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next time it didn't do a voice thing. It didn't tell me how tall he was. It sent me somewhere else. So that's a little off topic. I don't trust the guy. But
Yeah. I totally get you. And what Beth said as well, JD was picked by Donnie Jr. When I saw them two behind the RNC, that like quick clip of him, Eric, Donnie, Vance, and Donald, you could tell like Donald was a little further, and then it was like his two sons with Vance, because they're like the same age group. And I could totally tell the little boys club that was going on there, and they probably like each other and they agree on a lot of things, and that might help Trump to get a little bit of the younger people involved. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just assuming and guessing that probably Vance was like fresh blood, youngness to bring, because everybody's talking about that. Oh, there's so many old people, and so Vance is kind of that fresh face. But I'm just like you, like,
there's something there. There's something there.
Something. I don't know what it is, but it's something. And then she says Rubio is established. I agree with you, Beth. But I mean, I voted for him last time because I was under the impression of vote red no matter what. Like how they say vote blue no matter what. I did that for like the red wave. I got caught up in the just vote for Republican just because of Republican, and I didn't dive deeper. And so I kind of took that L in the past. But now there are new people running for Senate, and so I'm gonna communicate with them.
And that's the point, to show that these deep state people have succeeded in dividing the country. Because you just said you voted red just because vote red, or vote, and you didn't look up the information. You didn't do the deep dive on the people. Same thing on the Democratic side. Vote blue no matter who.
Right.
So it's the same game being played against the people.
Yes.
It's to the folks that are awake, it's obvious as the nose on my face. So
Yes.
all right, where are we at? Keep the year
14?
we're
15. 15.
which we kind of touched on this a second ago. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut
Right.
costly and burdensome regulations. If you cut regulations, then you can free companies up to
Mhm.
do better and get things done on a quicker time frame. And you know what? There's one thing, burdensome regulations. There is, let me just a second. Let me grab something real quick.
Okay.
And I think I have it here. Let me see. Gaming the boardwalk. Just bear with me. Ice Capade. Yeah, page 301. This is a book, Trump, The Art of the Deal. Okay.
Yep. I've seen it
And
before.
on page 301 begins the chapter Ice Capades, Rebuilding the Woolman Rink.
Mhm.
And so there was an ice rink in New York. I think it was in Central Park that the city tried to get repaired, redo it. Took them like, I don't know, 7 to 8 years they were working on this and got nowhere. Trump came in, cut the regulations, and got it done within like 6 months.
Yes, I mentioned that last time. That's why I told you he was like an icon in New York. He was a staple of New York. When you talked about New York, it was Trump. You know, like Trump is New York.
Right. So cutting regulations is not a bad thing. It's a great thing to do. Whereas if you put so many rules and regulations on companies, they can't operate the way they need to operate. And the electrical vehicle mandate, really, do we need to talk about that? Get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm so against it for the points that I mentioned earlier with the minerals and the way that they get it and everything. I'm just totally against all that electrical stuff.
I'm sorry, the whole climate change, it's a money grubbing system. It's a money funnel.
Definitely.
They funnel the money there. 16, cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children.
Yes, totally agree with that. That should be number one, honestly, because that's exactly what we're dealing with in literally like every state. I mean, even in Florida, when they say, "Oh, well, DeSantis did this and he banned books and he wants to, criminalize the teachers if they don't, or they'll lose their license or whatever." Like I remember when that was happening, I'm like, guys, you're believing the media once again, but in real life, it's not what you think it is, and it's not as serious as you think it is. Because as a parent, I would love that, but it's not happening. So I was kind of forced to either take it in my own hands and homeschool, or run the risk of letting them get exposed to literal pornography in a book. Like, again, what do you stand for? So that's why another reason why I did homeschooling. And I think in another stream I said, like, I get involved with Moms for Liberty. It's another group that kind of pushes the politics, especially with the school board, and they get really involved with parents and stuff like that. And I did that. I did a whole back and forth. I mean, even though I'm not like a member and I haven't done like meetups yet, I still like reached out to the board that was discussing this book or whatever. And it was very explicit stuff and pictures. And I told them how I really felt. And I'm like, look, even though I'm a homeschooling parent, I'm still a parent in this district where this decision is going to be made. And so I don't care about just my own children. I care about all of the children in this county, in this state, in this country. What I want to implement for my own children, why wouldn't I want that for other children, for the opportunity to have what my children have? And so that's why I told you they want to demonize it so much, but it's been so much better for them and their mood and their learning activities. Just the way they learn is so like off the leash. why wouldn't I want that same type of freedom for everybody? And so that's
Exactly.
where my nationalism comes into play, because I'm like, I want all of them to be free. I don't want children to be exposed to these types of things. Like that should be, I mean, it is natural, right? They're gonna come across it one day, but not when they're freaking 5 years old in kindergarten. Like, stop it. They
Yep.
don't need to be exposed to something, to these drag queens in the library. Like, what are you doing here?
Yep.
Like, honestly, like, this is not a circus. If you want to dress like that or listen to that music or read those types of book or do those stuff, do that in your own home. You have the freedom to do it in your home. The moment you step out of your house and you present yourself to the world, you should have some type of decency and respect for everybody else, because not everybody is going to agree with you. Okay?
Yep.
I don't go outside with a freaking, Confederate flag or, pride myself that I'm a Trump supporter or whatever, and you have to accept me for who I am. Like that arrogance is crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why I get a little passionate about that, because I'm like, at the same time I'm teaching my children how to be respectful, it's gonna come out. They're like, oh my God, why is that man dressed like that? And you know what I'm saying? So it's like a subject that I would have never thought that I would have to encounter right now at this young age. I'm forced to do it because they are prone to seeing some crazy stuff in the street, and I have to teach them how to be respectful and not, say the first thing that comes to your mind, because that's considered hate speech coming from a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm done.
My grandson, he's 9 or 10, and he's got a little touch of autism, and he speaks the truth whenever we're out in public. And sometimes I'm just like, dang, oh, dude. But I'm like, I say that, but in the back of my head, I'm like, hell yeah, Bane, tell like it is, brother.
I'm telling you, every time they see like a rainbow, whatever, my daughter says, oh, I'm not gonna wear that. That's gay. And I said, Brielle, they use the rainbow, but the rainbow doesn't mean it's gay.
Exactly.
Stop saying that. So it's like, you have to redirect the narrative and redefine it once again, because they kind of stole it and want to make it into their own flag and their own whatever propaganda, whatever you want to call it. But what does it really signify?
Well, with that example you just cited, how easy is it for them to manipulate the minds of our children?
Exactly.
So if you weren't there to correct your daughter on the true meaning of a rainbow, and she just accepted that for her whole life, by the time she's 25, 30 years old and didn't know any different, the rest of her life she would have been like, yeah, rainbow means it's gay.
Right. And she would associate those colors or that pattern or anything that is worn by those types of people and automatically assume that's gay, because that's all they see in the street, in movies, in television. Like, I don't even let them consume any of that, because that's the world trying to push that narrative on them when they don't know any better or the difference. A rainbow is just a rainbow. A color is just a color. Like, I bring them back to that innocence of, no, it's just colors. It's just a rainbow. Look at the sky. Why is the sky gay? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to bring them back to earth and say, even to kids, like, you don't have to politicize everything. Even with the kids, it's like, you don't have to bring everything into a sexual orientation or race into everything. Like, you don't have to put those things with every little aspect of life, and then have to be like a Jehovah's Witness, like, oh, I'm not gonna wear that. Oh, I'm not gonna do this, or I'm not gonna be seen with a gay person because I disagree with it. And that's the same mentality that I'm trying to help them realize. No. That's what some people say it is. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know that people that want to support this Project 2025 thing, they'll take this right here, this point of Trump, and they'll say, oh, he wants to abolish the Department of Education. Well, yeah, let's do that. Because the Department of Education is nowhere listed in the Constitution.
Yes. I'm an abolitionist. I want to abolish literally everything, because they fail.
Yeah, if you look at when it was established in 1979, are our kids smarter today because of the Department of Education, or are our kids dumber today?
Right.
They want to put litter boxes in kindergarten classes. You tell me, are we smarter or dumber? Are our kids smarter or dumber? So
Yep.
So I'm all for
Exactly
getting
right.
rid of, I'm all for getting rid of the Department of Education. So
Yep.
all right, we've already touched on number 17.
Mhm.
18, deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Anybody, I don't care if it's Hamas, Patriot Front Group, BLM,
Proud Boys.
Proud Boys, any of that.
Yeah.
None of that stuff should be on our college campuses. None of it.
Right. Right.
Because again, college is an extension of your education, supposed to be an extension of your education that you got in grade school,
Right.
where you should have just been learning, reading, writing, arithmetic, social,
Right.
Good stuff, not these agendas.
Mhm.
And so I think that's, the college. At one time, colleges were looked up to.
Right.
If you graduated college, oh wow, you're smart.
Right.
You're good, way to go. That was a good thing.
Mhm.
But now it's a joke.
Right.
Get your degree in social. I don't know. I can't come up with an example right now, but it's ridiculous what the
Right.
colleges are indoctrination camps right now.
Yeah, just like the regular schools. I mean, I don't see a difference. That just because it's considered an Ivy League school or whatever, and it's historical or whatever. I mean, it used to be respected, yeah, but now I don't think so. Like I
No.
was never even for it to begin with.
I mean, there's so many kids that I've seen in different stories I've heard where you had a kid that did great in K through 12. They did great. They had conservative values. They in their parents' eyes, they were a God-fearing person, and then they go to college and they come back and their views are totally opposite
Yup.
than what they had when they went in.
Yeah, like a transformation. They completely come out
Yeah.
different. That's weird, right? That should be studied.
How did that happen? We know. Why did it happen? And who's pushing it? So,
Right.
19, secure our elections. We've talked about that, including the same day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship.
Right.
Totally agree with that. We have to secure it. I think Election Day should be a national holiday.
Yes, totally agree.
I think, and voter ID. I mean, you need an ID for literally everything else you do in life.
Exactly.
So why not for voting? Paper ballots.
But you know what, Jimmy? In places like New York City, they were issuing city IDs. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of some, yeah, for the refugees or whatever.
Well, I mean, just in general for the city. Instead of getting like a driver's license ID, they were issuing city IDs.
Yeah,
and
they have
that's the loophole.
Yeah, they have identification cards. You can get an identification card.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So it's something similar to that. Yeah. Because that's what that's what they were calling it, like this city ID. And then the loophole was that illegals could get an ID, but they can't get a driver's license.
There you go.
So that's where it gets a little gray, because you're like, well, I do want an ID without having to take the driver's test, right? Because it should be different. But then you're like, okay, they're using that as a loophole to give it to illegals. And I remember doing that when I was in the city. I had to get a city ID. And I was like, fine, I'll do the city ID because I don't want to waste my time with the driver's license. But even though I've been driving since I was like 16, because I'm from Florida. But I thought, all right, let's do the city ID, whatever. But when I went to go do that, I noticed how either super easy it was, if they want it to be easy, or they wring your neck to get the simplest type of information for you to get an ID. So it was like I could see the play, because I'm like, I gave you my birth certificate. I was born in the city. What more do you want from me? And they were like, oh, you need 6 points for this. So I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? But yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about that, because with the voter stuff, you should get your driver's license official ID with the lamination, with the star and the barcode in the back, and you should have your signature on there and your picture, and be official.
Yep. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not too hard to get an ID, and they push it in the media like, oh, well, people of color have a hard time getting it. It's difficult for them. You're suppressing their vote or what? No, you're lying. I just look at it this way. Every time the media opens their mouth, it lies. That's how I look at it now. So, and proof of citizenship, yeah. This right here says you need to be a citizen to vote in the United States Constitution. You got to be a citizen.
Right.
So can I illegally sneak into Russia or go to Russia and then vote in their system?
No.
Can I do that in France? Can I do that in Nigeria? No. Why is it the only country in the world right now where you could just go in illegally and try to vote in their elections and get away with it? Why?
Right.
Why are we that country?
Right. But everybody else has strict laws, strict immigration policies, strict everything. But then America looks weak. Why? Yeah. I think that's the perception they want to give, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's part of the 16-year plan to destroy America.
You're going to have to tell me about that privately, because I do want to do an episode, but then you said it might get taken down. So I don't know, but you're going to have to share it with me privately.
Didn't I send you those videos?
I don't know. Did you? I don't think so.
I've done 2 episodes on that. I'll send you the videos. It's on my
It's
on my on my BitChute channel. You haven't caught up yet. You've been too busy. You've been too busy doing videos and not researching right now. Isn't that right, Ruby?
No. The school year started. That's why I put a post. I said it's August. School started. I'm doing this homeschooling co-op. Like, I'm getting really busy and more strict because it's not summer. But yeah, you have to give me the exact episode so that I could watch it.
Yeah, so those are really good. But that's exactly what's at play here. So, all right, we're at like 2 hours and 21 minutes. But what was number 20? Oh, unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't it be really cool if everyone was succeeding despite their race, despite their religion, despite their color? Wouldn't it be cool for everybody to succeed?
Yes.
How hard would that, that would be a great thing. Who's against that? So we just laid out Agenda 47. These are all the points, if you want to put it up again, Ruby.
Okay.
These are all the points that Donald Trump stands for. This is his platform. So you need to ask yourself, without the influence of the media, without the indoctrination stuff, you need to look at each point and just ask yourself, do I agree with this or am I against this?
Right.
If you're against it, fine. Vote for Obama.
Yes. And you know what? If she would have had such a detailed website like Trump did, I would have given both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys in the comments, of course, we're not going to agree on everything. And I don't want to look like I'm being biased by just doing Trump stuff. But if you could find something for me to cover of what Kamala stands for or what her agenda is, let me know, because I am interested to give perspective. I want everybody to be involved.
And here's the thing, Ruby. I put it out on my Facebook, and I've been saying this for a while too. We are the news now. Okay. Yep. So what we just did is we laid out what Agenda 47 is, point by point. Now compare that with what the media does, and they say, oh, Trump supports Project 2025 and it's evil and bad. But have they explained anything? Have they done what Ruby said? Where is Kamala's platform? Where is it?
Right. Where is it? I would love to cover it. And even if you are a left-leaning XJW or whoever who's watching and you want to come on just like me and Jimmy, I would love to do this with any other, political stance, because that's what brings the conversation up. But when I went to Kamala, all I saw was dollar signs. Like, what do you want me to support here? I don't even know what I'm supporting if I go to Kamala's website. I could only go back to her past. And when you look at her past, it's not that pretty.
Nope.
Her record.
So I like that we did this evening, laying out the Agenda 47, because now we can say, hey, if you want to know what it is, go watch our video, because we laid it. Because you're not going to get the information we gave you tonight. You are not going to get that from the mainstream media.
Right. And like Lucy says here, she said, would you give a platform to non-establishment candidates?
Sure.
I would love to, because I don't agree with Trump as a person. I do agree with his policies, but like I told you before, I wish I had that right person with the same, similar policies, but I wish I had somebody else. I don't know how to explain it, but
no, I get that.
Yeah.
Trump's personality rubs people the wrong way. Simply put, it does. To me, it doesn't bother me. I just laugh sometimes at some of the stuff he does. Now, I don't agree with everything he has said. He said some things I'm like, oh my God, Trump, really? But hey,
I love him. I love him. He is the grandpa figure for me. He represents old America. I love that. But I wish I had the Trump, but my age, new age, new generation of MAGA.
Yeah. Well, you can't get somebody like that until there's been an example set and passed down.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're trying to change the system.
Right.
And this is why I understand why people say it, but I do get frustrated when they're like, oh, it's the same old, same old, same old. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you are helping participate in the definition of insanity. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. So it starts with you changing your environment, changing what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. It starts there. And then we grow that. And then it benefits everybody else down the road. So.
Wow, Jimmy, thank you so much for keeping me on track, because if it was up to me, I would have went in on Project 2025 and say why it's wrong and he doesn't support this and do the whole try to be so defensive. But we focused on what really matters, and this is what Trump says he wants to implement. We're going to see if that happens. I'm watching, I'm listening, I'm getting involved, and I would hold him accountable, like you said before. If he did something wrong, hold him accountable. Of course, if you disagree with anything, hold that person accountable. I talk to these political candidates literally, I call them, I go on their websites, I read what they have to say, I'm researching, and I'm saying, is this American? Does this mirror my values? And that's what's important.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it says right here in the Constitution. Let me read it for those that don't know.
Yeah.
Let me get my old man glasses out. It says in the first paragraph, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So we are the ones that created the rules. And if I say, you know what, guys, I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to uphold the rules that we've put forth. And if I don't, you hold me accountable. And unfortunately, people have not been held accountable for violating the contract of we the people.
That right there. And an emphasis on saying a more perfect union.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not
That's-
a perfect union.
More, because there
Yeah.
is work to be done. There is room for growth.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what we should do for future, like in the future? I want to read the whole thing out loud with you and go like verse by verse, see what it means, and
Oh my
discuss
God. You
that.
know how, oh my God. You know how long that'll take?
Well, I mean, paragraph by not line by
Oh,
line, but like paragraph by paragraph, or maybe just like the important parts, like the Bill of Rights or certain things. Because
Yeah,
I do that as homeschooling lessons, but I think it's also important for us to do it together.
Yeah, you guys might be able to. Let me get my close here and see if I can do this. There we go. Online. Let me back it up. Online.hillsdale.edu.
Nice.
And you might be able to order this through there. Yeah, I got it for free somewhere. I don't even remember where I was, but they were giving it away for free. So
It should be free.
it's my constitution, man.
I love it. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this episode. Like
Yes.
every single time we go on is almost 3 hours. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. We have a lot to talk about.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
don't Puerto Ricans talk a lot like Italians?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
do you see me? Like I still got energy after 2 hours and
Yeah.
30 minutes. Like I could go on and on.
Yeah, I could go. You mean me too? Not a problem. I think I got on the show, Eric's show on Six Screens the other night, and it was
Yeah.
like 1:30 in the morning. I got on there, and I was on there till like almost 3.
Yeah,
But the thing is I'm passionate about what I'm doing. you know, because I want people to get educated and wake the hell up, because I want a better country for my wife, my family, my grandkids, myself. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to try to educate other folks. So
Right. Yeah, and this is what I do for homeschooling. So when you see me with you, Jimmy, this is exactly how I talk to my kids. This is exactly how I teach them. I have a whiteboard, like a huge one, and I literally do it. I have the Constitution on the wall. I have the presidents over here on the wall, like all of their pictures. I have literally this whole living room is a classroom, and everything, wherever you look, has an American flag, has America, a map, has a globe, has arts and crafts. Like literally everything is to teach them about your government, your rights, your Bill of Rights. What does it mean to be an American?
Yeah.
And then they always ask me, oh, well, that's not American. And I start laughing because I'm like, oh, look at that. You noticed something. Or you're my First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment. Oh, the cops can't come in my house, right? And I'm like, exactly right. They can't just come in your house. So, like this is what I do with my kids too. So I love it. I love this.
Yeah. So I've thoroughly enjoyed the episode tonight. I appreciate you having me on your show. I enjoy having these conversations.
Yes, me too. All right, guys, I'm going to let everybody go. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with me, spending time with me. I literally don't have anybody to talk to, like literally. In real life, I don't talk to people about these things.
I'm kind of the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm here with you. You're here with me, like quite literally. I don't really talk to anybody. I have to work on that. But I want to thank you guys for spending time with me. I'm going to play the outro and have a good night, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Bye.
night.